I got in Shabbos is Rabbi Tzvi Mandel of Kabnei Yisrael, it's Barzels, it's a community of Jewish friends. So, I promised another story of the great Reb David Farkash, one of the earlier students of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, and last night we learned how he became close to the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And there's another story that we once spoke about, but we won't say that today, between him and Reb David Lakis, who earlier became a student of the Baal Shem Tov. Earlier than him, bear in mind, we're talking about people that knew the whole Torah backwards and forwards, the revealed and the hidden, plus were on a very, very high level that we have to understand. So the great Reb David Farkash, there's another story. He had to marry off his daughter, didn't have any money, and the Heilige Baal Shem Tov told him just go on with the preparations for the wedding, and Hashem's going to help you, have nothing to worry about. And he didn't worry, and he went on with the preparations, and one day, before the wedding, he was going to his Rebbe, to the Heilige Baal Shem, and on the way he met a Gevir, a rich person, who asked him, how do you go to the Baal Shem Tov? And he told him, come with me. I'm going there right now. So they went together. And as soon as they both walked into the Baal Shem Tov's room, Baal Shem HaKadosh said Shalom Aleichem to the Gevir and told them both, I want to tell you a story. There was once a very, very, very rich man. And he went to do a big business deal. And on the way, they had to go through a very deep wilderness. And they came to the place where to do the business, and there was a lot of bidding. And he bidded and made the most money on it, whatever's being sold there. And so a number of the other people that bid, other businessmen, decided that now that they know who has all this money, they'll share the money and get rid of him. And so they followed him into the wilderness, and they first killed his wagon driver, and then they said to him, we have to kill you, sorry. And we know you have all this money now because we were all there together. We have all this cash on you. So he said, please don't kill me. I'll give you everything I have. And they said, there's no way, because we know that you'll go tell on us to the authorities, and that'll be the end of us. So we'd rather kill you. So he begged them for at least to allow them to say vidui, to say the confession that a Jew says before he dies. And as he was crying to Hashem and pleading with Hashem, please, if you make a miracle, then half of what I have, what I own, will go straight to Hashem, and the other half, a quarter, will be split between my relatives that are poor and other Yidden that are poor. And as he was screaming and screeching, a Paretz, a rich landowner, passed by and heard screaming and screeching, came over, and he saw him, and he told him the whole story, and he untied him, and they chased after these gangsters, and he came home with all his money. But when he came home, he decided that it's good enough, only a quarter of my everything that I own goes for Hashem. I start counting his money and everything, and he only gave a quarter away. At this point, Baal Shem HaKadosh turned to the rich guy and said, does any of this sound familiar to you? And he says, yes, I was this person. And he said, well, this young man over here, my student, Reb David Farkash, is making a wedding. And that other quarter, please give to him. Actually, he asked him how much it is, and it came out to that amount of money to do the wedding. Maybe to hold him out a couple of years after, otherwise it doesn't make any sense, right? And Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. He was able to marry off his children, and they were able to worship Hashem with all the kaiches. Let's do a little bit more of our HaChaim HaKadosh in this week's Parsha, since we learned last night was an unbelievable thing, the way he spoke about it. He quoted the Chavos HaVavos, duties of our hearts that we were learning. And the way he speaks about that a chassid, an Elach Yid, is Sahalasei B'fanav, his joy is on his face, he's always welcoming to people, he's always humble and nice. But inside him, he knows how much he's missing in worshiping Hashem. So he doesn't bother the whole world with him being cranky and depressed and in a bad mood because he's not where he should be. On the contrary, perhaps on Tisha B'Av, it's just the opposite. Tisha B'Av, as we were learning, there are external halachas of mourning with a U, M-O-U-R, and whether it's, we can't sit on the chair till half a day, and fasting and not drinking, but on the inside, the Yid has to be unbelievably joyous and with emunah betachin, and it strengthens our emunah betachin. Like we learned from last week's Avodah Yisrael, the great Gan and Kaddish V'tah, the Koshin Samagid says that on the inside, the Yid says to Hashem, Yibon Shalom, you are a king, you always was, and you always will be forever and ever and ever, and the time is coming already that you will also be the king of the other nations of the world, and they'll recognize you and us as the chosen people in your holy temple, where they'll come to worship you. So, on Tisha B'Av, maybe it's the opposite way around. On the inside, we're joyous and have betachan, and on the outside, we have external halachas of mourning. A story is told about the great Rishna. Rishna knew the whole Torah backwards and forwards, the revealed and the hidden, and it was the highest neshamas that ever lived. And in his community, the custom of the Chassidim was that Tisha B'Av afternoon, in order that they shouldn't fall into atzvus, chas v'shalom, fall into depression and feel down, they would play this game where they would throw up a string and a large box connected to the string, and whoever came to the shul, or some people would get caught in it and they'd laugh. Well, one time the Rebbe got caught in it. The El Kadishna walked into the shul and they caught him, and they didn't know what to do. And the El Kadishna smiled and he turned to heaven. He said, Ibn Shalom, you see that they don't know how to celebrate this holiday. Take it away already and give us the B'nai Beis HaMikdash. Amen. So here in the HaChaim HaKadosh. First chapter, the 8th verse. Ve'ein nasati lefnechem, see, I gave you plural. So why does he start with Re'eh, you see, which is singular, is HaChaim. And nasati lefnechem, I put in front of you, plural. Says an unbelievable thing. He says, physical seeing, everybody sees the same. But lefneichem, what is in front of you, each person is differently. So when Hashem showed Eretz Yisrael to the Jewish people, also when he showed Avraham Avinu, as it says in those Parshas, the Eibshter, the HaChaim HaKadosh says that when Hashem showed Avraham, land of Israel, he said, Avraham, you are fitting, you are on the level and have the great merit of being connected to Israel, the land of Israel, the Holy Land, and the Holy Land has the merit and special level to be connected to you. Good shidduch. Connects both of them on this high spiritual level. as opposed to all of us, everyone has their level of nechem of how closely they're connected to Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara says, Talmud says at the end of Ksubas, where it speaks about Eretz Yisrael, Ish, every Yid is born in Eretz Yisrael. Pasuk at the end of Tehillim. And each one according to his level. Some are biologically born in Eretz Yisrael, but they're not really so connected. Some are not born in Eretz Yisrael, but are more connected to Eretz Yisrael. And whoever lives in Eretz Yisrael is as if he has a God. Whoever doesn't live in Eretz Yisrael is as if he doesn't have a God. And the Chassidishe Sfarim explain it doesn't mean literally, but what it means is that according to how much a Yid is on the level, that's how much he's connected to, on the level of being connected to Eretz Yisrael, that's how much he's connected to Hashem. And God forbid someone could live in Eretz Yisrael and be born in Eretz Yisrael and still not be connected to Eretz Yisrael, I guess, to the level that he really should be. Ish Yulad Ba. The Hilchah Basayin, one of the biggest Chassidishe Rebbes that lies in Sfas, spoke about him a number of times. Hilchah Basayin lived in Sfas, also gone B'Kaddish, knew the whole Torah backwards and forwards, was a Heilik Yid, the Basayin, student of the Baal Shem Tov. And 40 years after he moved to Eretz Yisrael from Europe, a weeknight, he made an unbelievable big tish, made a big farbrengen, and all the Chassidim came, and they wore their Shabbos clothes, they went to the mikveh. Something special. Nobody knew why. So when he came to the tish, he said, Rabbi Say, my dear friends, we came here tonight because it's 40 years since I heard from a Yid that came to Europe, Shluch D'Rabbanan, who once, the way it was then, a very special chashuva, person that was looked upon with great respect, would be a messenger from the people in Israel, came to Europe to collect money for the poor people there. And this messenger told me, in Eretz Yisrael, the streets shine like diamonds and silver. Diamonds, gold and silver. Believe me, there was barely anything to eat over there. Now, after 40 years, I finally understand what he meant. In other words, on a spiritual level, he felt on the level of this connection to Eretz Yisrael. And that's why he celebrated it with doing a farbrengen together with his chassidim and having a tish. Eretz Yisrael, the Avinachal says, also one of the big tzaddikim, Talmid of Baal Shem Tov, he also has the Levush Yisrael. He wrote Levush Yisrael in Shulchan Aruch, one of the biggest Ga'anim. He says that every city in Eretz Yisrael and every inch in Eretz Yisrael is connected to the Torah, just like every Jew is connected to the Torah. And Rabbi Arla Belzer, they say, once someone came to him for a certain blessing, and he said, I can't give you a blessing for this, go to someone else. He told him who else to go to, but I didn't yet learn this sugya deeply enough. I think he said the Torah on this sugya, so that I could be able to understand the depth of it, so I could give you a blessing for this thing. Everything's connected to the Torah, everything is connected to Hashem, and every Jew is connected to each other, and we're all one. And so long as we realize that every one of us is so important to each other and no one is extra, then there's hope for us. so much more. Unbelievable. And also Hashem got angry at me, Moshe Rabbeinu says, when he's rebuking the Jewish people. In chapter 1, verse 37, it says, the HaChaim, but we know that in Parshas Chukas it says that the death of Moshe Rabbeinu has to do with the water hitting the stone. So why does it say over here that he got angry at me because of you, because of the sin of the spies? Anyway, the Ramban speaks about this. The HaChaim HaKadosh says an unbelievable thing. That if Moshe Rabbeinu would have sanctified Hashem's name on the level that Hashem wanted him to, then the Jews would have returned to the purity that they had before the sin of the spies, because of the great Kiddush Hashem, the great sanctification of Hashem, would have affected them well in a very direct and special way and raised them. And then Hashem would have annulled the shvuah, the promise that he made, that Moshe can't go into Israel, and he would have allowed him to go into Israel. And as we know from Chazal, that he would have built the temple, Hashem's living place forever and ever. And since they would be on such a high level, and they're so distanced from sin, then it wouldn't be a problem about what Chazal would say, that they would have been destroyed if they sinned an iota, because they would be on such a high level. And the higher level you're on, the more is expected of you. But they would carry through whatever is expected of them. And Mashiach would have came forever and ever. And ever it would have been the fixing of the Jewish people and the world. May it happen this year. It's Hashem, this Shabbos. It be Yeshua for all the Yidden, B'chal Makom Shem Begashmis Abaruchnis, and all Nyanim Begashmis Abaruchnis, Ha'freilichen, Shabbos Lanu L'chal Yisrael.